disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome once again to another episode of Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me as always, my podcast partner, Mike Gibbs. What's up, Mike?
Going on mean? Woo, Gene!
If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Internet Network. On Mondays, you got Raw with Mimi and Lup. Tuesday is CTE, Chris Travis Experience. Wednesday is us, Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with Gene and Mike. And Thursdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. For more information, you can check us out on our social media platforms, Martial Arts Internet Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Mike, it's showtime.
Part 2.
That's right. All right, so I finally finished this movie, man. It's a little bit better than I thought.
All right.
It's better than I thought. I'm not gonna be as harsh as I was the first time.
Okay.
But I tell you what, man. When I rewatched this movie, I realized that I fell asleep within the first 7 or 8 minutes of this movie. The very first time. And remember on the podcast, I listen back to the podcast, right?
Uh-huh.
I normally don't listen back, but for whatever reason, I listen back to the last one. And because I said on the podcast that I fell asleep for like 10 minutes. No, I was asleep for about a half an hour.
Oh my gosh!
I went back and I took a look and I paused it at what I remember when I was like, okay, I remember this part going forward. And I looked and it was 30 minutes into it, and I said, well, damn, I've literally missed the first half of this movie. I will wake up and see a little part, and then fall back to sleep. I didn't realize I was asleep for so long, man.
I knew you were, like, last podcast, you talked about you missed the whole garage scene. Like, his first fight in front of, what's her name? I was like, and I knew that wasn't, like, because in the beginning, you said you missed when he was first introduced to the fighting, and he did his first fight under the expressway. Yeah. And then there was a long gap between that and you not remembering that fight scene.
Right.
So I was like, man, that's a little longer than a couple minutes, man.
Yes, man, it was. And I was like, damn, I missed a lot.
Right.
I didn't realize it, but I watched it twice since then.
And it got better for you.
It got better from that first time that I saw, yeah.
Okay.
You know, so it's still I really wouldn't even consider this a martial arts movie. He is. I mean, because if you really think about it, they did not show him doing any martial arts training. There was not one time did they stop and show a training monologue. Not one time.
You feel for it to be a martial arts movie, it has to have some type of martial arts training in it?
But let's take Van Damme out. You could put Sylvester Stallone in this movie, and it still would be the same movie. I mean,
damn. I didn't think about that. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, because when he fought, of course he did kicks. Okay, but does kicking necessarily make this a martial arts movie just because he kicks? I mean, I don't know.
There's no reference to karate. You're martial arts. No. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been. I mean, it was cool, you know.
This could have been Fight Club.
Yeah, you know. So, I mean, it was something, you know.
Oh, that's a great analogy. I didn't even think about that, man. You're 100% right.
They did. I mean, Van Damme didn't even do his signature split in this movie, he not one time did he do the splits to show off the splits. They didn't even do the stretch, pulling up against the tree this time. They didn't do that, you know. So I was like, okay. Right. So, you know, I'm not knocking the movie. I'm not knocking it by saying that, you know.
Right. It had more of a story with the sister-in-law and the niece and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump into it, man. So This makes a lot more sense now.
Right.
But you know what? What didn't make sense? Still her infatuation with him, Cynthia. I now that I've seen the movie front to back twice, he never let her on.
I get it though. I mean, he wrote the movie. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
So if I write a movie and I'm starring it, the hot chick's gonna be infatuated with me. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna write the story.
I understand that, but she was too infatuated. Like she was almost stalkerish. You know what? She was almost stalkerish.
That's how it is in these streets sometimes.
I'm not going to even comment on that. That's stories for that's not for this podcast.
No, I'm being funny.
Okay. So after she loses it and nuts up on him, they go to an abandoned warehouse for a fight. Yep. There's a ring of cars, and Leon is standing in the center, right? His opponent shows up. Now, his opponent is wearing, his opponent is wearing a kilt. Yep. So, I'm thinking that like he was Scottish or something. I think they even mentioned it. But he was not intimidating looking at all. None of his fighters, they all just look like tall guys.
You don't think Attila was intimidating?
Him, the big boss.
What about the guy in the pool?
He was just tall.
Yeah.
He could have been on the bench for the Indiana Pacers. You know, he just looked like a regular tall guy. You know? The guy who was at we'll get to the racquetball guy in a minute. Right. He looked somewhat intimidating, but not much.
Right.
Okay. So they're getting ready to fight. Leon walks toward this guy. A lot of these people don't have any names either, unless they roll them in the credit. I did not see them.
I didn't either.
So Joshua tells him, "Don't shake his hand." He attempts to shake his hand anyway, and gets popped right in the face. They trade blows a little bit. The fighter is getting the best of Leon. He throws Leon through a windshield, then gets on top of him. He tries to choke him out with the antenna. Leon gets out by, he headbutts the guy, and he gets out. He's trading more blows with him. And then Leon pretty much takes over the fight. And then he takes the guy over to his managers, and they're like in a car watching this fight. And he holds the guy in front of them, and I guess they signal that he was done.
He's over, yeah.
So Leon won. You know what I was wondering? They never really explained. In the first fight that he had, well, not the ones where he was doing with Joshua, but his first big fights, he won $5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
They never really said how much he won after that.
No, they didn't. Okay. Let me ask you this, though, about that scene. Let's talk about that scene for a second. If you have an exotic car and all those people were ballers, I'm going to be pissed at something because that fight scene, they jumped all over cars. I'm going to be pissed. That's like an XICW wrestling show is what it reminded me of. Somebody's car in the parking lot just getting fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Yeah, I would too. But those guys, I mean, it's the same as all the other movies that we have watched that have this little fight feel to it, this Fight Club feel. The people in the audience are weird. They're crazy. They're bloodthirsty people.
Yeah.
So I don't really think they gave a damn about the car. Unless they lost, and then, then they lost the bet, then they probably not going to get any money, so then they probably couldn't buy a new car, but other than that,
I just think they were ballers.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, that's what they seem like.
They didn't care.
The next scene, we see Joshua. He is going to Helene's apartment. Helene is not Joshua, Leon's brother's wife.
Sister-in-law.
So Leon's sister-in-law. the French officers, I don't even think we got their names. But anyway,
I don't think we ever did either.
They're watching the apartment because they know Leon is eventually going to show up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they see Joshua going to the apartment, but they don't know who Joshua is. Joshua goes to the apartment. He sees Helene, and he tells her husband has set up a life insurance policy, and she was confused by that. Mm-hmm. Joshua tells her that husbands sometimes set it up secretly. He'll come by once a month to deliver the check. She was beyond grateful and happy because she had a hell of a lot of bills that she had to deal with.
Right.
Joshua leaves and he tells Helene to buy Nicole, who is her daughter, a bike because during the conversation, I think she came in the room and said that she wanted a bike, right?
Right.
Okay.
And he said the father would have wanted her to buy a bike.
Right. So that was nice. But I was wondering, like, shit. I mean, how long did Leon think this was going to last?
Right. How long was he planning on fighting to make that money of a life insurance policy? Because he was making it seem like there was installments instead of one payment. And you can't. I'm going to tell you this: you can't just set up a life insurance policy and put it in somebody's name without that person having to know. So, like, I have a life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And to put it in Kelly's name, I had to have like her social security number, like all kinds of stuff. You can't just go do a life insurance policy and say, "Oh, I want somebody to get this money if I die." You have to have everything.
Right. So, obviously, she did not know or even care. All she cared about was getting that check. Okay, the next scene we see Leon fighting in a racquetball court. So these people, they just set up fights anywhere.
Yep.
Because, a racquetball court is going to be in a health club or some type of club. And all of these people are just standing around watching them. Like who does that? Like, who could just set up a fight in a racquetball court?
Yeah, Rick can't set one up at Franklin.
No.
I mean,
the fight is going on, and he's getting beat up at first, just like all of these fight people. Leon is getting beat up the first couple seconds, and then he turns around, and then he kicks this guy through the window. I knew that was going to happen too when I saw it.
You saw the glass.
When I saw the glass, I said, okay, he is going to kick him through this glass, and that's exactly what he ended up doing. And he wins that fight. The next scene after that, Leon and Joshua, they have a house. I could not understand everything that Joshua was saying. Sometimes when he talked really, really fast. And this guy, to me, did not seem like an actor. He seemed like a real guy that they just got off the street and said, hey, play this guy. And he could do it. It was somebody that he knew, and he could just mimic that person. Because he did not seem like he was acting to me in none of the scenes.
That's a good actor then.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going to look him up real quick while we're doing this.
Okay. So, they're talking, and I really couldn't understand what he was saying because Leon was getting ready to go out to run, and Joshua was like laying on the couch, watching TV, and he had a magazine or something with him. And he mentioned something about the magazine. So I don't know. I didn't know if that was an adult magazine or what was going on.
I never have looked at one. I've only looked at one my whole life.
What's that?
Even when I was a kid, like never. The only one I ever had or even opened was China.
I can't even talk about this conversation.
No, I'm serious though. I never people talk about it. I'm like, I've never opened one. I don't. I've never.
You probably will now that we got the internet. Like when we were growing up, there was no internet.
Right. So but, all of my friends, I was never never. It wasn't until I was older in my 20s that I bought Playboy, and I bought one Playboy, because China was on it, and I still have it.
Oh, you mean China the wrestler?
Who you thought I was talking about? Who'd you think I was talking about? Rob Kardashian's China?
No. I was thinking about. I just thought you like wanted to look at some Chinese women, so I thought that it was a whole. No. I just thought it was a bunch of.
No, I never.
You mean the wrestler?
The wrestler. That was the first like adult magazine I ever even opened. And I don't even think I just skimmed through it and put it away because it was China and I knew it'd be worth money one day. Well, not that I know if it's worth money. I still have it, but I don't know if it was.
It might be worth money now that she's no longer with us.
Right.
You know, too bad you didn't get it signed.
I wish.
Okay, so Joshua stays on the couch. Leon goes for a run. As he's running, he runs by his niece, who is riding her bike. So he obviously set up a place that was not too far from where they were. I guess just so he can keep an eye on his family.
Yeah.
Now, as he's doing that, the officers see him. And because they're watching the apartment building, and he turns to continue. Oh, I'm sorry. He turns to run away, just to go for his jog.
And he sees that.
Mm-hmm. And then they run outside to try and catch him, but he's gone.
Why is he always getting chased in every movie too?
Like you said, because he writes the movies. he wants to get chased.
Right.
Now, excuse me. During the scene, and she sees the French officers, and she tells Nicole, who's the little girl, to come inside. Now, it kind of made it. They kind of, the way they did that scene, they kind of made it seem like Helena knew who they were.
Right.
So that was I didn't get that, because she shouldn't have known who they were.
Yeah, me either. I don't understand that part.
Unless maybe on another part where that was edited, they came and they said something to her already that we just didn't never see because they edited out the movie. But I don't know.
All right, hey, I got your Joshua information.
Okay.
We wouldn't know him because the only really major motion picture he ever starred in was this. He was a television sitcom actor. So he starred in Sledgehammer, Cold Case, Ally McBeal, The Ultimate Hero, Melrose Place, Quantum Leap, The Wonder Years, 21 Jump Street, Murder, She Wrote, Dukes of Hazzard, Bonanza, and Columbo. So he's pretty old if he was in Bonanza.
And I'm quite sure he played the same role in all those movies. Especially on the Dukes of Hazzard. The only time black people was in the Dukes of Hazzard, they were bad people. Like, there is no black people in Hazzard County. There was nobody working there. Not one. Yeah. Only time they showed up, they were bad guys. So
you're right. Because and then Cooter's, Boss Hog Cooter, there was no black people in Dukes of Hazzard.
Nah, I don't think there would have been any black people wanting to live in Hazzard County either.
I would have lived in Hazzard County, though, because if you could jump race cars and stuff like that, that appealed to me.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a car can drive around with a Confederate flag on top of it just nonchalantly, that is no place I want to be.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely can't come to Indiana then, motherfucker, ever. Because these motherfuckers, I'm telling you, you go south of here, you get south of Indy or Fort Wayne and go out east or west, I'm like, nope. Nope.
So the next scene, Leon is fighting in a swimming pool. It's like they tried to make each one of these fights that he has just, I don't know, just more ridiculous after the next. Like I have never ever seen a fight in a swimming pool. Now the pool was not all the way filled up.
Right.
It was primarily empty, and they left a little spot for water.
Right. and they had the singlets on.
Yes, and
they both had on singlets.
I don't know. That was just weird, man. That whole thing that was just weird.
I thought it was weird also.
Yeah. So this guy, the guy tries to drown him in the water. He eventually beats him up, and he knocks him in the water. And he drags him out of the water. So I don't know. Leon he's on a winning streak, people.
Hit him with that big uppercut. Wow.
Yeah.
So he beat him without a kick.
Yeah.
That was my note I took. Beat him without a kick. Finally. I said finally.
So then Joshua, he's happy. He goes up to Cynthia. He's happy about the win. Cynthia wants to know about Helene. Like she is obsessed with him and wants to know what he is doing. Joshua tells her that she was married to his brother. That's his sister-in-law. Cynthia wants to know if they are romantically involved. This whole situation right here is good. And if you watch the movie, you should enjoy this. I'm not going to repeat everything it was saying, but it was funny listening to what Joshua was saying, going back and forth with Cynthia. Mm-hmm. I laughed a couple times, both times I've seen it, because Joshua acted really, really real at this part. He even tells her that Leon hasn't even stepped foot in the apartment, so Helene hasn't even seen him since that very, very first encounter.
Right.
When he tried to give her money when he first got to L.A. And then Cynthia tells him that his job is to keep Leon out of trouble, which means make sure that he keeps making money for her and Joshua. And then Cynthia turns to her assistant and she tells him to keep an eye on Leon and Joshua. So I can see at this point in time, Joshua, this was the point in the movie where I think Joshua is starting to become close to Leon. Because at the beginning, he was trying to get him to get involved and start fighting. And he was kind of on Cynthia's side, but now he is starting to be on Leon's side.
Right, and we find out why later. Because he had been through it.
Yeah, exactly. Then next we see Leon. He goes for a run again. Cynthia's assistant is following him this time. He runs past Nicole, his niece, who's on her bike. This time she asks him if he likes her bike. And he's talking to her, and he says something in French. And then she remembers that her dad used to speak French to her also. And then she sees the French officers walking up from behind, and she asks him, who are those people? Helene, whatever her name is, she comes outside also, and she runs toward Nicole, tells her to come inside. Leon turns around, and he sees them. They tell him, you have to come back with us. Now he is telling them that, his family needs him. They will be out on the streets. If it wasn't for him, they didn't care. They was like, we got to go back. The guy's accent was really, really heavy, and he said something that happened in the desert in North Africa, and I couldn't make out what he was saying. Did you catch that, what he said? No? Okay. So then Leon asked them for one more week. They wasn't going for it. They said that he was going to go back and be court-martialed. So he runs. They follow him. They chase him. They ended up fighting. They ended up hitting him in his rib, and that's an important part because that's going to come up later on in the movie toward the end. Mm-hmm. He's getting beat up by these guys, so they're pretty good fighters also. And then he ends up kicking. I don't know what it was. It was almost like a porch almost. Yeah, it was something.
It was like a basement type. It was like a duplex type thing.
And he kicks this thing, and the wall, the porch, whatever it was, falls on these French officers, and he gets out of the way. And then Cynthia's assistant pulls up in his car, and Leon runs to him and he tells him, like, look, either come with
get
me
in.
or the police, they're on their way. So, you gotta come with me now. He decides to get in the car. The next scene, he's in the hospital. Now this this doctor did not seem like a doctor. I thought that he was at some, backdoor clinic or something.
Right.
Because this guy was not acting. He was a Mexican guy, and he had a heavy accent, but he was acting more like a street person. Like he was not acting like a doctor,
right.
And the guy tells him that, oh, you got beat up, mate. Maybe you should do karate, learn karate or something. Yeah. He gives him some money. I think it's like $100 or so, and he tells him not to tell anyone about his rib injury. He walks out of the doctor's examining room, and he sees Cynthia. She's arguing with maybe some other doctors or nurses. She wants to know where Leon is.
So why did he give him the $100? Was HIPAA not around then?
I have no idea. You read my mind. I was thinking that too. Who even come in asking for him?
Right. No one knows him.
Nobody knows him, right? So, I would have took the money too. I'm like, all right. So Cynthia's there. She sees Leon come out of the examining room. She runs over to him. She apologizes for her attitude lately. She said that she wouldn't have acted like that if she knew his situation. So at this point in time, she knows what's going on. She knows who Helene is. She knows about Nicole. She knows about the money problems that they're having. She knows why he's in LA now.
But she's a snake. We're about to find out.
Yeah. I mean, would you have told her the whole thing once you have met them and everything? Would you have told her like why you wanted to go out to LA in the first place? What you needed to do out there? Your whole situation? Would you have even brought any of that up to her?
I wouldn't even, like you said. I mean, I went to the Woodstock thing, but I wouldn't even hung out with Joshua. I don't know you.
Right.
No, I'm not talking to any, especially in a foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
And then she asked him, how come he didn't, tell her about his family before? He thinks for a second, and then he just says that he needs her help. The next scene, we see Joshua goes to Helene's apartment. He tells her that she needs to pack and move. I didn't understand the urgency in this part either. Maybe it was because the French officers, maybe they thought the French officers were going to come get her.
Yeah. Because she was in no type of danger.
No, like she wasn't at all. But they were making it seem like she was.
Right.
And then he calls for Leon to come. Leon comes from around the corner. She didn't really want to talk to him though. She and Joshua says he shows her his knuckles, and he pretty much tells her, okay, like this is how we've been getting the money.
Right.
She wanted to know did it have anything to do with drugs?
Drugs.
Right. And they said no. But he did say that he told her that the guys had followed him from North Africa, and he knew that they would be coming to see her. So she wants to know. She doesn't want to have anything to do with the drug life after what happened with her husband. So she was a little standoffish. He assures her it has nothing to do with drugs. He's just there to help. Then when Nicole comes out, and then she's properly introduced, and then she finds out that that's her uncle, and then she's happy. She hugs and kisses Leon, and I think
she said she knew he wasn't a stranger.
Right. Because she said that at the beginning. She asked him if he was a stranger in the first half of the review that we did. And I think that kind of loosened Helene up. The next scene, we see Cynthia and her assistant. They're watching a film of your boy, Attila. and he's a brutal, vicious fighter. She is showing the footage to the French officers, and she tells them that the fight is already scheduled, and then she can't let them take Leon yet. She promised to turn them over to the officers after Attila rips them apart. The French officers just asked if they can watch.
Sick.
Right. They all laugh, and she says yes. The next scene, Leon, Helene, and Joshua, they're making dinner. They're having a good time. I guess it was kind of good for, Joshua to feel, not Joshua, Leon to feel like that he had a family now. And Joshua seemed like he was pretty happy also. But Leon mentions to Helene that he doesn't want her to go back to her job. Like, I didn't understand that part.
Right.
Because what did he just expected her to quit and not have a job, or
they were going far away, or she was gonna have to get a new job. Yeah, it didn't make no sense.
Yeah. And then she shows him a picture that Nicole had drawn for him, and that's going to come up again later on. The next scene, Cynthia and her assistant, Joshua and Leon. So Cynthia blows the horn, and Joshua comes into the kitchen and tells Leon that Cynthia's outside. So they go outside to get in a limo. She's taking them somewhere. And she is in a good mood because she looks crazy. She is laughing. She's having a good time. She tells him that that he has a big fight with Attila. Lots of money is at stake, and that they all can retire off of this one fight.
Right.
So at this point, so now Leon is looking at the end of this whole fighting thing. Right. They go to a mansion, and Cynthia has her fight syndicate around. Now she's trying to hustle these people because when she gets there, they're watching footage of Leon. He's winning, he's fighting, he's beating people up, and she comes in with a tape. Now
Altered
this tape. Yes, she has a tape of Attila. So they're watching the fight. They're watching Attila fight, and earlier in the scene, when Cynthia showed the French officers the tape of Attila, they mentioned that the way Attila fights, he likes to toy. He likes to toy with his opponent before he beats them.
Right.
He makes them get comfortable, think that they're doing something, and then he turns it around. So this doctored tape that she's watching now, he is not looking very impressive in the fight. And then the tape starts messing up. So everyone is pretty sure that Leon possibly could beat this guy. So Cynthia tells them that, she kind of made it seem like she also was on Leon's side. Right. And that she was going to put up $250,000 to back it up for this fight.
Is that what they said? Did they say that much? I don't remember that.
Yes, she did. She did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's why I said, she's hustling though.
Yeah.
Especially after I saw the tape. I said, oh, okay. She's a mean one. So the next scene after that, this stuff is about to start going really, really quick after this part.
It's over after this.
Yeah. So Attila arrives. He gets off of. He's at the airport, and then we're going back and forth because we see Attila.
Smooth though? No, man.
Stop. Yeah, he was. He was.
Tell the listeners, in case they don't watch, how he came off the plane. This is my favorite part.
No, you tell the whole movie. Your favorite part. Go ahead. You tell.
So he's at the airport. His people come out and they're dressed in suits.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out. Now he's about 6'6", probably. I assume. I don't know. He's a big guy. Long hair.
In a ponytail.
Pulled back. Big thick glasses. Black dress pants. Black dress shoes. The dress. The belt. Black wife beater. Holding the kitty. Petting it like CeeLo Green. He's just, you gotta be tough.
Right. And he even goes over to that cat during the fight with Leon.
That's his. I love Attila. I'd bring my dogs to a fight if I could. Be like, all right, I love my dogs.
I did not know, man, you was a member of the dog pound, man.
All right, man. Chloe, Chloe, come here.
He's calling his dog right now, people.
I want to see her. Come here, man. It's like a little CeeLo Green cat. Come here. Right here, man. This would be me. Just like Attila. Don't this remind you of Attila right here? Attila had that little cat. See that?
Right.
You want to be on the podcast? All right.
All right, we're going to get back to it. Okay, so Attila is arriving. Leon is playing with his niece in the park. Now, he's spinning her around on one of those merry-go-rounds, and now we see that his rib is hurting. It's bothering him because it hurts him as he's spinning her around. We see Attila. We go back to Attila. He's getting off the plane, and then we go back to Leon and Helene. They're and Nicole. They're like having a picnic, and then Leon tells Helene that when he wins, he wants them all to leave. They'll have enough money. They can leave the bad stuff behind, and they can just move on, right? And then right after that, the next scene, we see Leon loosening it up. So Attila just comes just for the fight. There's no hanging out.
Right.
There's no build up or problems between him and Leon and Attila. There's nothing. So Leon is loosening it up before his fight. Joshua is throwing punches at him, laughing. He's in a good mood. And then he throws a punch and he hits Leon in the rib. And now Joshua knows that Leon is hurt. And he's upset because he knows Attila is a killer. And then he is also looking at his own life because I guess at this part, they mentioned that Joshua was once a fighter and he got beat up really, really bad. And he has an injury because throughout this fight, I mean, I saw it, but I really wasn't focused on it. He's walking with a limp through this whole movie.
Yeah. And
they never explained it up until this part. We find out at one point in time, he was a fighter and he got hurt in the ring or wherever they had these wild ass fights at.
Did Attila remind you of somebody though? Did he remind you? He reminded me of the sport karate competitor that the tournament's been going on all day. And this bad motherfucker just walks in to win the grand championship money like a half hour before the tournament starts. That's the vibe he gave me.
Those like people make you upset?
Yeah, no, man, it don't make me upset. But that's what he reminded me of. He's the guy walking in to take the local tournament money a half hour before the division starts.
Yeah, you are talking about somebody in particular. So Joshua is worried. He's asking Leon what's up. He knows Leon is hurt. He tells Leon that there's $12 million out there in betting that's circulating. So a lot of people are depending on Leon in this fight. Even though Joshua doesn't know that Cynthia has bet for Attila. Joshua does not think Leon can beat Attila. Attila has messed a lot of people up. But Leon is confident. He says that, he can win. Joshua doesn't want him to mess his life up the way he did. Because, Joshua feels that he can end up getting hurt, being injured, and end up, hosting these little fights under garages or under freeways or wherever the little places that he was having those fights back in New York. Leon considers Joshua family, and he wants him to move away with them and get out of that type of business. Joshua
I've known the dude a week.
Actually, I think it's been a little bit longer than a week now.
2 weeks.
It's been longer. I think it's been longer. Think about all the fights he had. Like he has not. I don't think those fights have been happening. One a day.
Okay, Gene. He's known him 60 days.
I would say that might be possible. I'll say that might be possible. But think about like Joshua. I mean, Leon has no family. His brother, just like all his other movies, Van Damme doesn't have any family.
Right.
His brother's dead. So all he has is his sister-in-law, his niece, and now Joshua, this man he picks up off the street in New York. And that's his family. But Joshua tells him that Cynthia doesn't care about him. The next thing we see Joshua, he goes to Cynthia and he asks her.
No. He said he wanted the family to move away, and then him, and he said even Cynthia if she wants to.
Yes. And
so he was trying to take care of her.
Yes,
and that's he was like, man, fuck Cynthia.
Right.
She's a snake.
Yeah. So that's when he goes over to Cynthia. Joshua goes to Cynthia and asks her who she betting on. And she doesn't say. She looks at the betting numbers. And she tells Joshua to go place his bet. He really doesn't know what to do. He's just standing there looking. He does not know what to do, who to bet on. And then we see a quick shot of Helene and Nicole. They're at home. They're packing. They're getting ready to go. Leon comes out for the fight. He enters, and he sees all of the people, and then he sees the French officers.
Right. Can I ask you this, though? Yeah. Were you like... Because I'm like, all right, so, I don't know if he took his shirt off, but this is the main big fight, and he's just wearing some street work clothes. Mm-hmm. I would have fought in the singlet.
That is the only time that he actually had on any type of
anything besides street clothes.
Yeah, besides street clothes. Yeah, and that's another thing, man.
The Chuck Norris action jeans.
That's another thing. But remember at the very first part of the review, and when he woke up in that penthouse, and it was Cynthia's
clothes is gone. Right,
his clothes are gone. Now he had those clothes since Africa, so he had those clothes on that boat. Mm-hmm. He jumped in the water. When he jumped off the boat, he jumped in the water. He had those clothes on. When he had his first 2 fights, he had those clothes on. Those clothes had to stink. They had to smell.
Yeah. And then he had those nice clothes. So, I would rather fight in dress pants as opposed to jeans.
Jeans, yeah.
Unless they're the Chuck Norris action jeans.
Yeah. So then the fight starts. Oh, so once he sees the French officers, he knows something is up because he immediately looks at Cynthia, right? So the fight starts. Leon attacks Attila. Attila's getting hit at first. He's throwing some techniques at him. He's doing basically what Cynthia said Attila would do. He lets his opponents get comfortable. They're leading the fight, and then he eventually takes over the fight. Right. And then Attila ends up hitting Leon in the ribs, and then he bends down, and he's gotten hurt. So then Attila knows that's the sweet spot, that his ribs are soft.
And he even points to it. He's like,
yeah, he even points to him. Yeah. And then Attila takes over, and he's beating him. He's beating him bad, man. He was beating him so bad that I had to wonder if he was even going to win this fight. Because I was like, okay, I know this is a movie. And I know this is Van Damme's movie, but I didn't know if there was going to be a swerve in it, like Best of the Best. Like, they didn't win the gold medal in Best of the Best. They ended up losing. So they threw us a swerve in Best of the Best. So I was wondering, was there going to be some other type of thing that happens? Because he was getting beat up really, really bad.
Right.
If you listen to how Joshua was screaming, like Joshua was telling him to stay down, don't get back up. He was really, really scared for Leon. He threw a spinning hook kick, and then Attila ducked down and hit him in both legs. And then he came up and hit him with a headbutt. Like, he was destroying Leon. Joshua is on the ground begging Leon to stay down. Leon won't stay down. He gets back up. He realizes that Cynthia has bet against him. And he's really, really, his body is hurt. He's beaten. Like I said, I didn't think he was going to continue. He falls back down. Every shot was just devastating. The French officers were looking concerned as this fight was going on. And then Joshua tells him again, stay down. Like, look, I got it covered. I got a plan. I bet on Attila. And then he told him that pissed him off.
Wrong bet.
Wrong. That's what he said. Wrong bet. And then he jumps up. He gets up. Even Joshua tells him, like, look, man, we could split the money 50-50. He didn't care. He jumped up. He gets up. and he starts picking Attila apart. Like, that was the magic word right there. He jumps up. He started hitting with all these different combinations. He even kicked Cynthia's assistant, knocked him out. He was fighting over there by them. He's getting beat badly. He ends up knocking Attila into the crowd. He jumps in the crowd, and he's getting ready to wipe him off, and he just stops. He pauses, because I guess he was like Tommy in Best of the Best. He figured if I hit him one more time, he's going to die. And Attila was just laying there. And that was the end of the fight. I thought, once he turned around, I thought Attila was going to jump up with a knife or something and rush out. Because that's what normally happens in these type of movies.
Right.
But he didn't. He stayed down, and the French officers were there.
They were actually cheering. The one was actually cheering for him.
Yes, they were. They turned. They turned. Mm-hmm. They tell him it's time to go home. Cynthia is getting teased as she leaves. She tries to flee before she pays, her marker. Mm-hmm. The French officers take him outside. He sees Cynthia in a limo. And then the people from inside, they come outside to get Cynthia, to get her money. Now, she doesn't have enough money. I wonder how much money she lost right there, because she was saying, like, I don't have it all. I got it in New York. I'll get it for you guys tomorrow. I wouldn't have trusted her.
No, hell no.
Or somebody would have had to go with her. Or they would have had to keep something.
Right.
The next scene, this is the last scene pretty much. We see Leon. He goes to see Helene and Nicole. They're thinking they're getting ready to leave, but he tells them that he has to go away. They can't come with him. Pretty much he's going back. The French officer is going to take him back to North Africa. And Nicole is pretty upset. She's crying. She's really, really sad. She just can't comprehend why he has to go, why he has to leave. She ends up giving him her picture that she drew him. Helene is outside. Joshua's outside. They're all sad. The officers look at each other and then look back at the family. They tell him to come on. He gets in the car. They drive away. They turn the corner, and then they stop. And they tell him to get out. He gets out of the car, and he runs back. That was stupid. That was dumb. Like, why even make him get in the car to ride around the corner? Like, I don't...
Because you had already turned face.
Right.
They had already turned face and was loving him.
Right.
At the fight. It didn't make no sense.
So he runs back. Now, meanwhile, Nicole is already at the door just watching, praying, hoping that he comes back, and he does. She sees him come running down the street. She screams and she runs out, and then Helene and Joshua come out the house, and they all hug and roll credits. That's the end of the movie. So, Mike, I mean, it was okay. It was all right. It was better than the first time when I saw it when I was asleep.
Well, you missed the first part of the story that was setting the tone.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't bad. But like I said, I really wouldn't consider this. I mean, it's a Van Damme movie. But after watching, I'm like, man, he didn't do any karate. He didn't do his normal things. Right. It was just, but it wasn't bad. I'm not gonna hate the movie. It was not Way of the Dragon bad. So I'm not gonna hate on that on this movie at all. Good. But like I said, man, I still think like this movie was still Bloodsport. It still was.
It was the bastard child movie.
it was still. It was like they took whatever they left out of those other movies. And I think he saw a little bit of Fearless Tiger, and he put it in his movie. But you know what though, man, he did not. They didn't have any type of resolution about what happened with his brother. Like he never went after the drug dealers who killed his brother. He didn't even think about his brother.
So when I first watched this movie back in the day, in the 90s, I always thought there was going to be a Lionheart 2 where he avenged his brother's death. Mm-hmm. And never happened.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's still hope.
Hey, yeah, he might need to make a comeback.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
Not about Lionheart. Where are we at in the poll for the movie for next time? Because I keep trying to pull it up and I can't see. What's the leading vote right now?
Right now, well, it's over. I'm going to end it now. So the next movie we will see is with 44.44% of the vote. The Last Dragon has won. The Karate Kid had 33.33%, and Kill Bill had 22.22%. So it looks like next time we are watching The Last Dragon. That should be fun.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
I don't even think I have to watch it.
You know, I do. I'm just going to do this because I want to take my notes. But Last Dragon.
I will, but I mean, you know it by heart. So do I.
I do. But The Last Dragon, I'm going to tell you guys this now. If you have not seen The Last Dragon, it is a corny ass movie. I'm gonna say that right now. It's good. I enjoy it, but I enjoy it because it's so corny, because it's so hokey. It's just this movie's gonna have a lot of laughs because it's just so much stupidity in the movie. Man. But I still enjoy it though. It's really, really goofy. It's really, really goofy. You know. And I hate that people literally called him Bruce Leroy all the time. Like people do not call him Leroy.
Right.
You know, when people talk about the movie, they always call Leroy Bruce Leroy. I hate that. Really? Are you serious, Travis?
No way.
Travis said that a Lionheart 2 was announced back in 2018. So Mike Gibbs might get his wish.
There you go. Hey, let me ask you about The Last Dragon. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have the soundtrack?
No. I never had the soundtrack. It was probably a good soundtrack for back in the 80s, you know.
Oh, you had it? Sweet. Yes, I had it.
Man, what don't you have?
Well, the karate school, my first karate school was next to, do you remember Harmony House?
Yeah.
It was next to Harmony House. And so the guy would come over and take lessons, and then he would hook us up with like tapes.
I got you.
Tapes.
You seem like the type of person, Mike, that would have posters. Did you used to collect posters of movies? No?
My mom wouldn't let me put shit on my walls. Shit, I was like in a white room prison, man.
I used to have a lot of my drawings. I had a couple posters. Me and Travis had a couple. Only thing Travis wanted to put up on the wall was Michael Jordan posters. That's all he was doing. Constantly. Michael Jordan.
Travis was going to be a baller, though. He explained it the one day.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. I don't know about all that, but he used to play basketball.
You don't think he could have... So you're saying Travis was a C-rated basketball player?
Okay, let's do this.
Wow, man, you're his biggest critic, though. Then.
I am his biggest critic, but let me tell you something. Like, ask Travis, Travis has played on a lot of basketball teams, and I don't think they ever won a game.
Gee, I'm gonna attack you right now. I'm gonna personally attack you.
Why?
Yes. Do you remember before we went to WKA's in '98? We all met at U of M Dearborn, and we started hooping.
Yeah,
before we left, right? Remember this? Oh, I remember this. Hold on.
I know you got a memory.
Who did you check? You picked the only white boy on the court.
I have no idea.
So that just shows how soft you are.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
Your game sucks. No, because you thought
it does now.
And I started schooling you.
You know,
I don't know.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. I had your ass post up. I was scoring on you, and I came in for a layup. You were so aggravated. Listen, you were so aggravated. You were so aggravated.
I don't know.
For a layup. Listen. You know it's true. Look at your face. I went in for a layup. I had blew by you. I had crossed you over and blew by you. I went to the hoop, and you came with a forearm and just blew my nose apart.
I do remember that part. I do remember that part.
Because you were frustrated. Because I was not
frustrated. I think that was an accident.
I was getting the fucking business on the court.
I don't know about all that, Mike, but I do remember that foul.
Don't talk about Travis's basketball game.
I just said, ask Travis how many games out of all the teams he played for, how many that they won. That's all I'm saying. That's all I said.
Okay. First off, I only played on 2 or 3 teams.
I think
because Dad never put me in schools that had a basketball team, and we only went to Cook. I mean, for Saint Cecilia 1 year, and only played like 3 or 4 games before he took me off the team. So I didn't get a chance to play. And then if you talking about the Mr. Hall thing, like dude, I was Mr. Hall was the coach. Like it wasn't like we had a coach. Like it was just dudes who just picked up the ball. People been playing forever. Like yo, what? It was just different. Huh?
Martyrs of Uganda.
Martyrs, nobody else could play. Nobody else had grades to play, so we didn't have a team.
I just said all the teams. I asked him how many games he won. That's all he said.
I don't know.
You didn't win any.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm telling you that you didn't win any. But it's not. I'm not knocking you
with the Mr. Hall one. I don't remember what we did at Saint Cecilia. Honestly, I don't remember what we did.
All I remember is we got ready to get into a fight at Herman Gardens, and now Herman Gardens.
What the hell were you guys at the Gardens for?
They had a game.
That's where we were playing a team basketball with me, Pete, DeJuan, Aaron. Who else was on the team? I know Morris. I know Morris was on the team, but I'm just trying to think of who else was on the team.
Did you say Nate and Aaron? I think they were there too.
I said Aaron. I think Nate might have been there. Yeah. But it wasn't like we were just like, all right. So we
like Herman Gardens. For y'all don't know, Herman Gardens is the projects. That was
one
the project.
Way in, one way out.
And I remember when Morris hit that jump shot, right? And y'all started celebrating because y'all tied it up and it ended up going to overtime. Yeah. And like it was a dude like standing behind me and Berger, and it was like, no, y'all calm down. Like y'all don't need to be celebrating. And I looked around, I said, oh, it's like 1, 2, 3, it's like 7 of us. And it's like that whole community. Like, we gonna catch an L. I don't care how many black belts we got right now. We about to catch an L in Herman Gardens.
If you remember that game, then we got into fights.
Yeah,
DeJuan and Pete kept getting into fights.
Yeah, I can see Pete getting in a fight.
Yeah, DeJuan and Pete kept getting into fights. If you remember also about that game, we had got blown out the first time we played them. And that was the first game we had ever played together. And we got blew out bad.
That was a dangerous situation, honestly. Like that.
And then third game, that whole thing back, and that's why we were so hyped because we had tied them up. Because we had got blown out by the team. We had made progress, but
that whole thing could have ended up really, really badly. Like we would have been on the news. Like honestly, I think that like those guys are serious. Like I said, we was in a project, man. I mean, that was about to be an ugly situation. Okay, so Trav, since you're on here, I got a question. I texted you earlier. I said I got a question.
Yeah.
For you. So, Trav, you have taught for Rick just about as long as I have. We got our black belts in 91. And that's pretty much when, I started teaching for him all the time, every week, every Saturday. Setting up, having going to Children's Learning Center, different schools and churches, satellite programs, things like that, right? So, you're pretty good instructor. And I remember when a couple years ago when I was watching Cobra Kai, and I said I got excited when I was watching Johnny teach the kids, and you made a comment like, "How can you get excited for teaching?" You could understand getting excited for watching a fight, but you just couldn't grasp like why I was getting excited for teaching. And it hit me like you have never had your own martial arts school or anything. At all this time. Now you're a good teacher. You're a good instructor. So I just wondered like how come you have not had your own yet out of all this time?
Because I don't know where I'm settling down at. It's on the idea, the plan, but I don't know where I'm going to settle down at. So when I was in DC, I started actually, to be honest with you, in 2014, I started looking for a place. A location in the Virginia area in Alexandria, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I was looking to open up a karate school there. Mm-hmm. But that's when DeWanna got her promotion. And so we ended up moving to Atlanta. So once we moved to Atlanta, I was like, well, all right, I started looking at different areas once we bought the house. Mm-hmm. And everything fell apart. So it was just kind of like, all right, am I staying here? So I just never, when I was in Lansing, I wasn't going to open up anything because I knew I wasn't going to stay there that long. Mm-hmm. Back in Detroit, it's always been that I didn't know where I was going to be, so I didn't want to open up a place and then just bail out. Right. So
So, Mike, you look confused. You didn't realize Travis has never had his own program or school or anything?
I'm thinking, why would Travis open a karate school? I'm not taking my kid to learn karate from Travis.
Why?
You will be broke because you have no personality.
No, Travis. I'm gonna stick up for my brother. No.
You talking about me?
Yes. No. Travis, you know how people say rusty bitch face?
Yes.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
And you have rusty bitch face. I'm not bringing my fucking kid. If I walk in your karate school, there you are, the instructor, standing there with resting bitch face. I'm not taking Eddie to your karate school because Eddie's gonna be fucking scared and piss his pants.
No.
Because you have resting bitch face. I'm gonna tell you the best instructor I ever saw. I'm gonna tell you, we know him. We know him. And he came up, not you, Gene. Came up in the program. Mr. Allison is
I knew he was going there.
What?
Your aunt is a great instructor.
Wait. You said Mr. Allison?
Mr. Allison is great with kids.
Bread and butter?
Listen, he was so good with my son.
Wait.
He was terrific with my son. Your aunt, going down to Franklin and watching her teach, she's special.
Yes, of course.
Her and Mr. Allison are two of the greatest children instructors I've ever watched. With hands down. I would not sign my kid up.
He's never seen me, Gene.
I see that.
Travis, I don't have to see you teach one class.
No,
I know you.
Mike, seriously. All seriously, out of everybody that you named in that at the karate school, I was the best kid teacher. I was the one who did the 3 and 4 year old class before anybody else. Nobody else was doing it. Everybody else ran away from it. I was the one who did the 3 and 4 year old classes. I was the one who was right by and teaching all the time. A lot more than Gene and Ski once they went off to college. I was the one who was there. Honestly, no, seriously, seriously.
Travis is a good instructor.
I when it comes to kids, it is a completely different thing with me. Like it's like I can be a jerk or an asshole or whatever way you want to call it. I know I have a resting bitch face. People say that at work. All that I'm cool with that, but it's really weird that something happens with children and me that I don't know, it just kind of relates to me to the point where Dewana used to get mad. She'd be like, "Why do kids just love you?" I'm like, "I don't know, they just do." Like it's just a weird thing. And Rick actually I had kids learning how to want to do math. Like I was tutoring kids at the karate school, and they would just come over and want me to give them math problems. And I had nothing. And I remember Rick was like, "What are y'all doing over there?" Because they were making noise. And they were like, "We learning math." And he was like, "Oh, all right. Well, keep doing what you're gonna do." He didn't want to break it up. It's actually I get why you have that thought process, but yeah, no. I'm
gonna tell you, Mike. I'm gonna tell you, if Travis was here living in Detroit, I would not be teaching. I wouldn't. I would probably be helping him. I would probably be doing business stuff, but I wouldn't be doing the majority of the teaching. If he was here, I would have fell back and let him have the school.
I will say this: if I was there in Detroit, it would be a lot of different things. It would be a lot of different things. And I'm just gonna leave it. It would be a lot of different things.
I think I like those different things you're thinking about.
Yeah, it would be a lot of different things that would be going on.
So I was just wondering. I was wondering about that.
It's just because honestly, and I've looked at different areas in here, and I haven't decided where I'm going to be at. Like I'm literally contemplating moving overseas right now. So I honestly don't know what I'm going to do.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's.
No, I literally work from home, so I can live anywhere I want to.
Where do you want to go?
Like,
I want to do like I honestly may think about going over to like let's say Madrid and living in Madrid and then traveling to different.
Oh my God, it's so crazy why you say that. It's so crazy you saying that right now. The other day, Champ was like, when I told him that Mom and Dad were coming back to Detroit from Florida, and he said, "Is Travis still in Atlanta?" I said, yeah, Travis is still in Atlanta. He's like, how about we call him Traveling Travis? And I was like, all right, if you want to call him Traveling Travis, that's fine. I don't care. But I guess he remembers, like, okay, Travis was in DC. Now he's in Atlanta. When we went to Christmas in Florida, he was down there. So I guess he just figured like you bouncing all over the place. Right. So,
hey, Gene, I want to get your thoughts before we wrap up on Usman and Masvidal.
That's easy. I don't really have any because only reason why I don't have any because I've not watched neither one of them really heavily. Like the last couple of years, I fell off from MMA and the UFC, and so I've never really caught up on him. I saw him have his fight with Nate Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't know. Right. I think I do. Let me say this. I think it's a dangerous fight. It's all risk with very little reward. Because I don't
trust Masvidal.
Yes, because I don't trust Dana White, and I've seen Dana White screw people over before. And to have a championship fight on 6 days, if you lose, Dana's not going to give you another rematch. Not no time soon.
Is almost 25 pounds in that amount of time. That's a lot of weight to cut.
Yes. So
he's cutting almost 25 pounds. He's not eating.
So on top of that, you have a situation where you cannot have the best. He ain't had no camp. He did not have a camp.
Mike Brown's got COVID.
It's a difference from training and having a camp. I'm gonna tell you this, Mike.
Coach can't even be in the corner because he's positive for COVID.
Yeah, man, it's just a dangerous, stupid situation. I would not have. A lot of times, some of these guys, they let Dana White gas them up in the head, and he said, "You want to be a fighter? If you want to be a fighter, you should be fighting all the time. You should be ready to go. You should be ready to fight this, that, and the other." But you also got to think like this is a business for you. This is your brand. This is your business, and all it takes is one fight, and you're done. You're not going to get those big opportunities again. Right. Dana does not have any loyalty to these guys, these fighters, this and the other, not at all. So So that goes back to the situation that John Jones had with Chael Sonnen back in the day. Yeah. Now when he was supposed to fight Dan Henderson. Dan got hurt. Chael wanted to step in, and John Jones said no. Like, Chael, you're not even in this division. You're not going to talk your way into another fight because you just had 2 championships opportunities with Anderson Silva that you shouldn't have had. You shouldn't have had those fights with Anderson Silva. I'm not going to let you just walk in here and get a championship fight. No. And that's when the hate started for John Jones. That's when all of these UFC fans start not liking him because Dana always put the narrative out there that fighters fight. You got to be a champion, this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if this guy loses, if he loses on Saturday, it's going to be
losing. I think he's losing. 20 being around wrestling the way I have, that amount of weight, and I know what they're gonna do, and they're gonna do the baths, and he's gonna eat, a lot of fibers and things like that. But he's still that rapid, his energy loss isn't gonna come back, even though they weigh in like the morning before they get more than almost 24 hours. That's still gonna affect him. If he's even has his energy back, it's gonna make his sluggish.
But think about this also, Mike. Like how I heard what Chris said earlier. Chris Walker said on CTE.
See, don't tell me though. I watch all mine on.
Okay. Well, I don't understand like if his cardio is going to be ready. I know Chris thinks his cardio is going to be ready. I don't know, man. Like when you're in camp is hard. That's when your championship rounds are made is in camp. Right. Because that shit ain't gonna be easy at all. By the time you get into the cage, that should be the easy part. Mm-hmm. That training camp should be a nightmare. I'm gonna tell you this, man. I was in a gym, and I don't say which one. I was in a gym a few years ago with someone who was preparing for their UFC fight. It was their second UFC fight. And this guy was not really working out. Like he was talking on the cell phone. He would hit his mitts with his coach.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
He talked to some girls, go back, this, that, and the other, and eventually he says he got hurt. He says that he hurt his arm, his bicep or something, and he eventually pulls out of this fight. The next day, I see him like lifting weights in the gym. I'm like, like, okay, I get it. So like, he was not taking his camp seriously, and I was already thinking like, man, like you are going to get hurt. That's it with the MMA, man. It's just not about losing. Like you can get hurt. You can have some damage done to you.
You get really messed up.
Yeah. So I personally, 6 days, man, 6 days. That is not a long period of time to get your cardio up and to drop them pounds. So
I think this is what I'm gonna have. This is what I think happens. If he should beat Usman, which I don't think is gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if he beats him, he's gonna call out McGregor, and they're gonna try to do that big money fight and call him out of retirement.
What about Khabib?
The who?
Khabib.
Khabib's not going to draw the money that Masvidal and McGregor would. Two shit talkers. Khabib ain't talking shit.
No, I mean, he's in Russia right now, and his dad just passed.
Right, passed.
So,
but Khabib's, man, listen, man. I'm just going to say it. You have the discipline of the Muslim religion, and you mix it with fighters, with Khabib, Usman. Look at the history. Those are dangerous fighters. I'm not fighting any of those guys on 6 days and cutting 25 fucking pounds. Are you insane? His manager should be fired.
Yeah.
That's suicide. The manager don't care about his fighter. I'm not letting my fighter take that fight.
Oh, I agree. I definitely
no
agree.
Way in hell.
But you know what would have happened also? They would have done something in return to him. Like they would have either made sure that his pay did not increase,
or he don't get that shot,
or he doesn't get another shot. So this could have been like his one and only opportunity. I understand that, but like I said, I have to look at my brand and me.
Right, or maybe he said, "Yeah, take this fight, win, lose, or draw. You get a fight in 8 months."
I would not believe that. Unless I got that in writing from Dana White, I would not believe that. No way would I believe that.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Not at all. So I mean, we'll see what's gonna happen. We'll see. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I got a funny story to tell you too, Mike. I don't know if I should tell you on this podcast or not. I'll wait. But we're gonna wrap it up right now. So we got Last Dragon, Mike. You ready for it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, people. That's our next movie, Last Dragon. We're gonna watch the first half. We're gonna review the first half next week, and then the week after we'll have a new poll with some new movies. I don't know what I'm going to put on there yet, so I'll put that out after this podcast next week. I'll put out a new poll with some new movies so you guys can decide what we watch. Anything else to the people, Mike?
No, that's it.
All right, so that's it for us on Fist Kicks and Flicks. For our producer Travis Plowden and everyone on the Martial Arts and the Network. And also, let me give my shout out to my boy, Blizzard, Darnell McConnell. He produced our track that plays at the beginning of our podcast most of the times.
Wow.
If you're looking for some beats, look up Blizzard, Darnell McConnell on Facebook. He'll hook you guys up. All right, that's it for us. You guys have a good week. Be strong, be safe, stay cool. Peace.